I'm Danielle Perro. I am a women's health researcher and science communicator. Over the last 4+ years now, I've spent time researching into endometriosis and chronic pelvic pain and trying to understand how we can improve our phenotyping or how we characterize chronic pelvic pain in women. On my science communication side, I love finding creative ways to communicate research that's happening in the space. And I would say that ties into my personal ethos, which is to make sure that knowledge in women's health is accessible to those who would benefit most from it. I think the way that we talk in a scientific or research context is very jargon heavy, and we use numbers and language that is inaccessible to many people, even people in different fields who are research scientists. And so I think there is a real, I don't want to necessarily say challenge, but a learning opportunity as a researcher is to consider how, if I were to talk about my work in a more conversational way to, a loved one or a friend, how would I describe my work if they don't really have a background in, say, endometriosis. And so I think it's really putting the person forward and making sure that you're using language that is easy to understand, but is also engaging. I think that as a researcher, it feels like a moral responsibility to translate our work and put our work out there, because oftentimes our research is publicly funded, and so it makes sense to be translating this knowledge back to the public. But I recognize that researchers and people kind of in this space don't necessarily have the time. And so something that's actually come up at the summit is how do we incentivize outreach and communication, because I think a lot of people want to do it, but if there's just not enough time in a day, or there's no resources or capacity to be doing it, it's often seen as something that is extra rather than something that is integral to the success of your research. I think that's exactly what we need, are specific kind of organizations or initiatives pushing forward these collaborations, whether it's interacting with people in innovation from the level of startup to kind of more bigger scale companies in academia, in possibly a way that isn't just applying for grants together. I think it's really exciting to have an environment that is specifically made for collaboration, because I think it's beneficial for everyone if we're able to foster these collaborations and bring together different skill sets and different resources to ultimately achieve, the same aim